So, welcome to our new episode of Women in BPM with our special guest from Kuala Lumpur today, Juliana Johari, also called JJ. She's a senior manager, organizational improvement, transformation, and change management at PETRONAS. But before we start with the interview, let me first reintroduce you the reasons and the topic of our Women in BPM series. So while women luckily gained some space in so many industries, also in tech and in management positions, there is still a gender gap. So that's why we see leading organizations, corporations that are setting up diversity initiatives. But what we see from a BPM, which is business process management perspective, we see numerous women acting in leading roles. We see them proving their capacity to lead global transformation project, to set up for their companies in operational excellence, to enable communication and change management throughout the complete organization. Doing so, they are paving the way for other women to take action, and they are also inspiring the newer generation to just do it. So with this Women in BPM interview series, we want to give these women a voice. We want to learn about their journey. We want to get insights from their very own success and pitfalls and challenges. And we want to understand why diversity is good for BPM. So welcome, Juliana. Thanks for taking the time to discuss with me today.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks for joining me. So as a starter, I'd like you to tell us a little bit more about your background, your current role. How did you came to that?
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you again for the opportunity. I really look forward for today, actually, since last month. Right. So my background is a bit of mixed. There's a bit of information system, business management, statistics, to name a few. But here I am, doing business process management.
Mm-hmm.
But in PETRONAS, I would say I spent half of my adult life doing risk management, actually. Risk management before I moved to process improvement. And my small unit, we oversee on process improvement for the whole of the organization. And then the idea of managing the whole process, the aerial view of the process came like 2018 or something. Like we know that we need to steer from the top. And that's when it came about, so I capitalized all of my experience in business statistics, process improvement, Lean Six Sigma, risk management, and other operational excellence background into having this whole business process management being part of a corporate initiative for the organization. Yeah, okay. That's my humble beginning.
No, that's a very good one. Was there a specific moment where, because as you say, you have some statistics background, Lean Six Sigma, so it all relates somehow, but what was the point of time and how did you really enter this business process management job, let's say?
Okay, I would say by chance. Well, I was doing process improvement seriously, like really seriously, back in 2016, 2017. That was when the oil price crashed and it hit the whole of oil and gas industry. And a group of us, we were tasked to oversee this whole process improvement of end-to-end process in the organization. And so that's when it came about. You were looking at micro level of process improvement, and I tried to do a bit of research on process management, but truth be told, it's until today, not just 2016, until today, you hardly see much of empirical research on process management. Process improvement, you've got plenty, thousands, if not millions, but process management, not even in hundreds, just a few. And there was not much theories on that. So we know that we have to experience this, we have to do this and try to experience it throughout the way. And the only way is to start, you can't really overthink. You have to start somewhere. So that's when I took up the challenge. So my superior then, he was like, are you up for the challenge? I'm like, yeah. Challenge is my middle name. So I took up the challenge from 2018 and never looked back since.
How
Yeah.
big? How did you start? Were you like a one man or one woman show at this point of time, or was there already a team of people taking care about
Uh,
processes?
yeah. Now comes the hot topic of women in BPM, right? So this is when I use my so-called women qualities, trying
Mm-hmm.
to syndicate, try to network with a lot other process management leaders across the organization.
Mm-hmm.
Mind you, when I started, I was probably the only woman in the
Mm-hmm.
line, and it was practically dominated by men.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so trying to get them to sit with a lady who has probably little or no zero of process management at large was, well, probably challenging is an understatement.
Mm-hmm.
But I use my my charm to my advantage. I connected with them, and I was just being humble throughout the way. I wanted to learn more on how they manage their process management at their respective business.
Mm-hmm.
Mind you, our organization is so big, it's so dynamic. We do have process management leaders at every businesses and every smaller corporate unit, but in
Okay.
2018 we didn't have one who oversees the whole organization. So this is when I came in, one with probably little or no experience, trying to
Mm-hmm.
convince other men leaders to sit down and kind of strategize together on how do we move forward for the whole organization, for the greater good of the organization. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we had a few meetings, and I really learned from them, how they started off their journey and kind of pivot my way through. I
Mm-hmm.
knew the challenges in corporate, so I kind of leverage of how they experience their ways through their business, because in businesses they have a lot of technical processes and all other challenges technically.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of complement what they know. I put in some experience from the corporate. So yeah, and the rest is history. So we found that cooperation aha moment, so to speak, and everyone realized that we have to work together to achieve the greater goal for the organization. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and the rest is history.
I mean, if I remember right, I saw some pictures of you indeed alone as a woman with a big group of all your colleagues, which, if
Yeah,
I'm not
all men,
mistaken,
all men.
are all men.
Yeah.
Would you say that this being humble, seeing yourself maybe like as an enabler, as a coordinator, as a beginning,
Yeah.
was key to the success indeed, compared to the fact that you could have come up and said, you know what, here I am, have the plan, and I'm the leader, and that's the way we're going to do that? Do you think it is exactly the point where you succeeded in your job?
Yeah. Um, I would say so, but probably two things. One
Yes.
is, being a woman probably has its advantages. When you have a group of men who knows a lot of things about process, and you try to kind of find a midpoint. You,
Mm-hmm.
I saw their vulnerability, and I
Mm-hmm.
saw where can they all meet at the middle point. I kind of saw that. I let them talk. Of course, I didn't budge in. I just let them talk. But I only came in at the right moment. I wouldn't say when and how, but I just saw that moment, and bam, I came and presented myself. And yeah, and we got it right then. And secondly, it's probably due to my personality.
Mm-hmm.
MBTI, Myers-Briggs personality profile. I'm a strong ENTP, so by nature, I'm a very people's person, so I use that
Mm-hmm.
to my advantage, definitely. And being ENTP means, I go for challenges. I always challenge my status quo. I wouldn't do the same thing for a long time. I will always go for bigger and more innovative things. So
Mm-hmm.
that kind of help along with me being a woman in the industry. And
Mm.
yeah, so that's those two things I would say what push that boundary of, yeah, the
Mm.
male dominated field, I would say.
So obviously we come then to the conclusion that diversity, yet in that case being a
Yeah.
woman with maybe this emotional, this people relation, in the end is an advantage. And
Yes,
is
yes,
yeah,
true.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Well, I do think it's the same. And if you yeah, if you see it right, then it can have a lot of advantages for the person and also for the company, because diversity, of course,
Yeah, correct.
is key. Still, I mean, I know all of your success and I love listening to you, but I'm sure that you still have challenges that you are continuing to face,
Oh, yes.
well, in your organization, or maybe especially being a woman.
Mhm.
What would these challenges be? What would you say?
Okay. And the topic of BPM is
Mm-hmm.
a dynamic one. It always evolve. So I have to always find interesting ways of storylining of why we need to do BPM. I always have to update myself with what's current,
Mm-hmm.
and the outlook of BPM. So I can't be telling the same story all the time. I have to
Yeah.
always update myself with different story, and I think that's one of my strength, storytelling, and I think that's how I pivot my way out
Mm-hmm.
throughout whatever challenges that presented my way through from 2018
Yeah.
till today. So yeah, always come up with a compelling story that
Mm-hmm.
people at present would want to hear and want to buy the thing that you kind of sell.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's how I do it and continue doing so.
Yeah. Does it, do you mean, well, selling throughout the organization? So throughout the organization of your colleagues you are talking to related on processes, but do you also mean this, selling to the upper management to persuade them that they should continue on setting up on business process management, continuous process improvement, also this kind of things to top management?
Oh, yes, yes, correct. Also, being a people's person, I always make myself a busybody, nosy, wanting to know what other parts of the organization are doing. So, being busybody and wanting to know what others are doing gave me the hint of how I can use BPM to my advantage.
Ah.
One of the example that I can give was I was part of this transformation initiative for one of the corporate
Mm-hmm.
in the organization, and actually they just wanted to improve their process, to make
Mm-hmm.
the process more efficient. And I saw the opportunity of how we can use BPM, and I saw BPM then. And the leader liked the idea, and
Mm-hmm.
from just looking at it from micro level,
Yeah.
uh, they bought into the idea of looking at it from aerial view, um, operating models, from how they connect the process from level one all the way down, and how do they deconstruct the process back from the improved operating model. Not just see process at level 5, they need to
Mm-hmm.
look at the process top down, so that is more effective, rather than just looking at it at micro
Mm.
level. They might miss some opportunity, and the whole um, white spaces, the thing that we talk about most in BPM, that's going to happen a lot if they don't look at it from area point of view. So I
Mm-hmm.
sold BPM even at initiative that may or may not require BPM, but I
Mm-hmm.
always have BPM in mind. And yeah, so that's one of the instances that I did, and that I infused BPM into that whole initiative,
Oh
and
my
it
God,
became BPM.
yeah. And it became BPM,
BPM.
exactly. Oh, I have so many questions now. So I don't know where to start because it's so exciting. Um, I'm going to start with the first one. As we want to inspire all the other women and other
Mm.
people in the BPM. So you say you're being a people person, you're being noisy, you want to, to know everything what's going on. Do you have a tip how to do that best so that it's not, bringing yourself into trouble because she wants to know everything and we don't want to know her to
Okay.
know that. How do you do that? Special tricks?
Oh, okay. Well, my colleague would probably be saying, I'll just pull a JJ. But in all honesty, BPM is currently in change management. Change management is when we oversee, the whole transformation, hard and soft process, and also
Mm-hmm.
so hard process, soft, the culture bit. So
Mm-hmm.
we are practically in, I would say, all of the initiatives, uh, you know, all of the critical initiatives of the organization. So we have hands and foot in most of the initiatives. So this is when we became the eyes and ears,
Mm-hmm.
um, and when we heard of any initiative, that is when bam, we will go and um, influence and give
How do
them
you
the
go?
right advice. How do we go? Because we have
Yeah, then we will go. I like it, but how?
we have our agents, right? We have our
Uh-huh.
agents who are well equipped with knowledge of process improvement, process management, and also culture. So from time to time, we do have what we call, like change agent meet up, and through conversation that we have, we will try
Hmm.
to um, influence all other change agent that they have to look at both hard and soft, and from time to time we also have this session out of our own initiative to
Mm-hmm.
upskill them on process improvement, process management. So whenever them as the eyes and ears of change management, they
Mm-hmm.
will nudge us if they ever heard of any initiative like that. They will
Oh.
nudge us, and then this is when we will come in. Sometimes they will call us for some knowledge sharing,
Mm-hmm.
and more often than not, when the management of those respective initiative heard of this kind of ability that process management and process improvement has,
Mm.
they will buy in. They would want to hear more, and yeah, so this is when the nosy
Okay.
part of us will come in and yeah, infuse the whole ideas of BPM. Yeah.
And I like this. Is if I summarize it right, it's really you've built a network of these with these change
Yeah.
agents. They are
Mm-hmm.
informing and
Yeah.
enabling basically
Correct.
this
Yeah.
process.
uh,
That's a great thing.
mm-mm,
So as said, I have a lot of other questions, but I want to
mm-mm.
start with a little game, this
Ooh,
small
yeah.
game, this or that in the middle. So
Okay.
I give you two words and you choose. And of course, I'm happy if you can tell us a little bit more why you choose
Yay.
the one version.
Okay.
So you just told me you went to vacation. So that's why I would start with the first question, which would be hiking or swimming.
Oh, hiking.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right. Um, risk or compliance?
Risk. Risk.
Why?
Well, I'm a risk taker, and
Mm-hmm.
well, I like to do things proactively. Then, yeah, I think no, actually, both are actually proactive. Both are actually right.
Yeah.
But I'll choose risk at the blink of an eye. Risk. Yeah, I'll go for
Okay.
risk.
um, family gathering or business meeting?
Family gathering, that's for sure.
Oh, okay. Oof. Like this one. Well, this one is not really game, but I was asking this question before in my mind, so I need to ask it now. Modeling or mining processes?
Modeling or mining, I'll go for mining. Of
All
course, we
right.
need the modeling bit, but I'll go for the mining.
All
Yeah.
right.
Uh-huh.
And then the last one, which would be Europe or Asia?
Europe of Asia? Oh, okay. That's
That's
tough.
difficult. You can take
That's,
both.
yeah, I know, right? Okay, I'll be probably today I'm feeling a bit more patriotic, so I'll go for Asia.
That's nice. That's fully
Uh-huh.
right. Thanks for that. So that's
All right.
was the short game in the middle. And
Mhm,
to add to that game, I also have a standard question I like to ask because
mhm,
we often get very creative ideas.
mhm.
Assume you would need to explain process management and processes to your grandma or granddad. How would you say that? How would you do that?
Yeah, I know. Because I used to that analogy. I use the same kind of analogy to some management who
Mm-hmm.
may or may not understand BPM. But interesting that you said, what would I tell my grandma or grandpa? But I tell
Yeah.
my kids all the time about BPM. Let me think
Okay, then
how
what do
I
you tell to
explain
your
to
kids?
them. What? Let me see. Okay. Okay. I always told them, you know, because we have this app called Shopee, like online portal where we
Mm-hmm.
can buy literally everything online. And they always ask me, they are always amazed at how seamless this process is. You just pick your item and then you get it paid and then you get to track, you know, you
Yeah,
get to track the shipment and voila, it's delivered to you in no time. So
yeah.
they always ask me, how does BPM help that? Maybe, that's a good analogy, kind of.
Yes.
So, how I would answer that question if my grandma or grandpa were to ask that, I would say, you know, how easy it is nowadays that we get to buy things online. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the hard work of the integration of processes are done by other people, but we as a customer, we can feel the seamlessness of the process. You
Yeah,
need All you need to do is just to choose to pay and wait for your items to be delivered. So the hard work is done by the process management people. They
yeah,
integrate the process at the back end of, from the supplier of the product, from the banking
yeah,
transaction, throughout the delivery companies.
yeah,
Okay, all those are done by the BPM people. I think, yeah, right, but
yeah,
done by BPM people at the back end. So the
yeah.
customer reap the benefit of what BPM has done. So I will tell them that. So that's keeping me busy at work because I'm doing the back end. You just have to, experience the seamless process as the customer,
Yeah,
right? I mean,
yeah.
that's what
It's
PM is. Yeah,
I
I hope.
love it. And then in the end they say thank you to you, your grandma and your kids,
Yeah,
right?
I know. And they can't complain that I spend a long hours in at work because I'm doing the back end process. So the customer feel the seamlessness of the process.
I
Yeah.
like it. Feel the seamlessness out of the process.
Correct.
That's a nice one.
Uh,
Talking about seamlessness,
mm,
that's there was something that the two of us were discussing.
mm,
Um, yeah, but no secret, we had this big pandemic, so we had
mm.
big challenges coming up. Well, at the push of a button, within a
Yeah.
second, completely unexpected.
Uh,
Um, how was that at your company and with the processes? How was that with
mm,
the remote working? How did
mhm,
you proceed with discussing on processes? What kind of learnings did you get from that, and challenges maybe too?
mm. Yeah. Right. That reminded me of what we experienced at the start of the pandemic,
Uh
where we
huh.
were told to, leave everything at the office and, went back home and work from home. And you know how technical process management is. I mean, that was my knowledge pre-pandemic, that BPM is quite technical and you need a lot of, physical discussion,
Uh-huh.
drawing and stuff on the board. So when pandemic came, it was a bit tough. I was at the point of leading one of the initiative on
Uh-huh.
process modeling. And then I
Okay.
was like, great, just the right time for the
Mm.
pandemic when I was just about to model this process. And truth be told, of course, we need concurrence from all the leaders then, and they were not comfortable of mapping the process online. Obviously, they need to see it live, physically.
Okay.
So we had to pivot our way, you know, and then we knew that Microsoft provided, some tool for us to have that discussion and whatnot. So we make use of that first. Of course, prior to us modeling it in Aris, we map this process online using some whiteboard kind of tool, and
Okay.
and people just learn throughout the way and became so good at drawing the swim lane and whatnot manually, and we were impressed of ourselves. We never knew that we could do it, online. But true enough, what took me probably 3-4 months prior to the pandemic, during the pandemic, when we were all stuck at home and we did it using digital tool, we managed to complete that within one month. We
Oh,
Yeah, we
so
were
you
surprised ourselves.
improved so much.
Yeah, I know, right? And it apparently, a few of us got the into exciting mode of mapping the process, drawing the process, doing drawing the swim lane, and got really great at it. And they were like, "Do we have any more process for me to draw?" I'm like, "To that extent," because
I'm out of business.
yeah. So we were surprised ourselves, and
Uh-huh.
yeah, instead of 3-4 months prior to the pandemic, we managed to complete that within 1 month. But of course, all that when you were tasked to do it in a lab manner whereby we were focused on doing that for 1 month. And when we think back, pre-pandemic, you have a lot of what do you call that? Outside disturbances, that you may be called for meeting, you may be, you know, uh, but when you were working from home, you were focused and
Yeah.
you get things done. Hence why you were more efficient.
Okay.
And truly, now that we are back in the office, I think that we took more time. We went back to pre-pandemic. We took more time to do process management.
So the efficiency improvements went down again.
Went down a bit. So now we're trying to do a bit of hybrid, taking cue from how we
Okay.
experienced doing during pandemic. So we try to do it hybrid. Try to reduce, external disturbances, and all that. Yeah. So I would
Ah,
say the pandemic did great. You know,
did great. Yeah,
people were
yeah.
focused.
I would have two kind of final questions. How we are
Mm-hmm.
coming up to the time is where when I see you, you're a motivated, self-assured woman that
Mm-hmm.
does her thing. Um, Maybe it was not always like this. I don't know. But would you have some kind of advice for younger women? What kind of tips would you give them
Mm-hmm.
to succeed in business and in BPM?
All right.
What do you think is important for them?
Okay. Right. Um, I think wanting to learn, and of course, they have to always up for challenges and always challenge the status quo.
Uh-huh.
And I think that would take them places. As long as you have the passion to always challenge your status quo, to always do things outside your comfort zone, then you will succeed in life. You know, it will take you places. I mean, at least that was how the whole principle lead me to where I am today. So I hope
Mm-hmm.
this is how the younger generation can do that, to always remember to challenge the status quo and
Yeah.
uh, grab for opportunities,
Yeah.
whatever that may be. Yeah.
I love that.
Uh-huh.
That's very opening, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I do think that is something important. Challenge the
Mm-hmm.
status quo. That's good.
Yeah.
I love it. Um, as everyone is talking sustainability these
Mm-hmm.
days, well, there are lots of challenges from a society, environmental, also a risk management perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think process management can help there?
Oh, yes. I would say that as well because fundamentally, every organization need process management, and process management is when they can uphold, any compliance. They can manage their compliance and control issues better. And this is when any policy changes that they may be with regards to sustainability are easy to be um, nudged throughout the whole organization, without which they wouldn't know which process is directly or indirectly related to this sustainability. Yeah, and of course, the whole process management also allows them to be more agile. Yeah, and to be more agile and to be able to face any other challenges that they may be, with having this process management. And we've seen that. We've seen how, even if challenges came and hit our shore, but when we have all our process being managed carefully, the risk may be lessened for us. And I think that is how we are able to uh, be in the line of sustainability and whatnot.
Yeah.
Mm.
All right. Thank you. And my
Mhm.
very last question is there someone specific that inspires and influences you on your way? It can be a podcast, a book author, someone from your family. So whatever you like. Is there this kind of person in your life where you say this one?
Um, well, I would say it's actually one of my colleague. One of my colleague actually inspired me a lot in process management in particular. And we always have this conversation about process management. Even if my energy went like low with all the challenges that came and hit, um, he would always know how to uplift my spirit and be back on track or even better in the line of process management. And yeah, I think I learned a lot from this one person. And he's actually leading the process management in one of the businesses in Petronas. And yeah, that's how I keep myself motivated,
That's good.
because of the lesson learned of all the success stories that he has had with his. So, yeah.
Okay. So that's good to have such a counterpart,
Mm-hmm,
yeah, at work and
mm-hmm,
someone who inspires and
yeah.
motivates you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thank you, JJ.
Welcome.
I enjoyed the conversation today. If I
Mm-hmm.
would summarize now, I would say challenge the status quo and be nosy,
Yeah.
and then you'll get through that.
Yeah.
These are very nice statements. So,
Mm-hmm,
thanks everyone also for listening to our session today, to this
mm-hmm,
interview. Feel free to reach out and to contact me if you think you have something to say, you have a story to tell. I'm always happy to get new persons in these Women in BPM series. We are striving for diversity, for more inspiring stories for each and everyone. So reach out, listen, and we hope you enjoyed
mm-hmm.
today's interview. Thank JJ.
Thank you. Thanks. You
See you
have a nice
soon.
day. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.